Okay, we're away.
We're away. Look,
and
it's
Nick and Brian.
Yep, it's Saturday night and Brian's just cooked me a magnificent piece of rare steak, which was truly wonderful. But as payment for this, he's got me in here and he wants me to actually talk to you, the audience, and him about nasty things which we believe are going on out there. It's called the unceasing and never-ending financial crisis.
Hang on a second, I think we need a bit of light on the subject. So what
Light?
I'll do is, I'll get a bit more light. Yeah.
Oh, we're actually going to be put in Technicolor. I'm a bit worried about this. While he's doing that, there is hope.
Okay. We have got...
Okay,
we've got a bit more light. Yeah. Okay, so our favourite thing that we do is we have a few drinks and then we decide that we'll sort all these issues out. But actually, talking to some of the people that I work with, and we've been drawing parallels between the late 20s and the early 30s and what's happening now. And it's all doing a rerun, which is really sad in a way, because what it's absolutely proved is that we don't learn from history. We don't seem to have the ability to do it. And a lot of people say, oh, well, it'll never happen again. They wouldn't let it happen again. And of course it is happening again. And the most outrageous things are taking place in America. All the people who are behind all the big Ponzi schemes, which the American government is running on, are back in there, up to the armpits, doing all this nonsense again. These people are employed at high levels in the US.
It's really interesting because Kunstler put it very nicely the other day in his blog, and he said that the house was the game now, and he was talking about the casino-like nature of the stock market and the banks, how the only investors were large corporate investors. So the whole thing was a self-fulfilling prophecy where they put money in and put money in and kept the prices up and kept the prices up, and no one else actually got to play. And we always sort of wondered, well, how do they do that? And well, they all took a bloody great big bailout, and they managed to screw a lot of money out of the taxpayers worldwide, the guarantors, you and me, and consequently we're indebted to them for their debts, which is really quite a classic piece of work. And I'd love to be able to do that on things like mortgages I've had, where I can create it as someone else's debt rather than my own. That would be truly wonderful.
We've found a new way of describing it in some ways. Well, I mean, kind of, we've made it, personalised it, and we talk about the socialising of the losses and the privatising of the profits, which is what is actually happening. So the outrageous thing is that in a democracy, this actually should be totally unacceptable, but we don't actually have a democracy. We have a bit of window dressing that sort of points in vaguely in some sort of way in that direction. And I mean, because the three aspects I think you and I agree upon, majority rule, minority protection, and the third part, sharing the benefits, of which most notably we don't see any of that whatsoever. It's a kind of a cornering of the profits.
Yes.
And
well, it gets worse than that, Brian. In actual fact, you actually ask what our society and our lives are actually all about. Is it all about feeding those who have too much, who are an incredible minority? Or is it about looking after us and our own people and anyone else we can actually help? And you sort of look at it and you say, you've got to give some hope. Now, we have problems there. We have things like Christchurch in New Zealand here has been flattened by an earthquake.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
We need to rebuild it. And I was sort of thinking, well, what are the people going to do? And when I was a boy, the place was full of manufacturing which supported the local farm economy, and it supported the export economies which came from that background. But in effect, we actually have people who made things, that did things. They used these wonderful items you call hands, and it was things like lathes and foundries, all sorts of stuff which sounds basic. Well, that's all done in China now because some corporate bastard decided and knew damn well that because the laws had changed on international trade, there were no barriers, tariffs and all of that crap, they could get some mug in China to do what a man in New Zealand might do for $10 for around about 1/10 of a cent. And of course the product could be made and delivered to here a hell of a lot cheaper. Now these are the same people who've moved the manufacturing worldwide around out of America, where no one actually builds anything anymore, where Motor Town is just empty lots. No, nothing gets built in Detroit. And these are the same people who ask for a handout from the taxpayers of those countries when they do fuck up. And it's just, it's an appalling indictment upon our political system and our lack of, how shall we say, social value which we place on our elite. They quite literally do not deserve us.
Well, you know, a society where the ethical and moral drivers have been ripped out, and we're just seeing the outcome of that, basically. You can't have an economy without values and ethics, and it just doesn't work. And or you can, but it's not going to actually fulfil the objectives of a fair and just society. And of course, that's one thing that we've had to battle from the beginning of time. It's interesting how people seem to sort of forget that the moment you turn your back, the fairness and the justice goes away. So you have to be vigilant all the time. And that's another thing what you're kind of missing, is that each day, you know, I suppose, really, you know, there's something in getting up and putting up a flag and actually making a declaration, you know, that I will serve the democracy. I will be at my post, ready to defend robustly these principles of majority rule, minority protection, and sharing the benefits. And somehow people have actually kind of let that all go. They don't think, no, there's no need to be a custodian or someone who protects. Somebody else is looking after that issue for you. Well,
yeah, it's really quite funny because
you wake up and it's gone.
One of the great fairy tales of the 20th century was the Kennedy family and the Camelot period of the States. And you have Kennedy standing up in a speech and saying, "Ask not what America can do for you, ask what you can do for America."
Yeah.
Well, in actual fact, it was the only thing he ever said which he was actually 100% right on. I don't know if I trust his, you know, his reasons for saying so, but in reality, it is what we are about. If we are all about ourselves as opposed to our group, our people, our communities, if it's just about us, we are nothing. And that is the problem we have, is that we've allowed the financial elite, for people who actually control our lives from a perspective of controlling our finances, controlling our production, controlling our economy. We've allowed them to take over from our political control of our communities. And if we've got a major problem in the world at this very one moment, it's, yes, global warming's associated to it, peak oil is going to impact on it, all of those things, but our real problem and our real opportunity is us. We reject them, that is our biggest opportunity. If we tell them, take their money and stick it, and we run it ourselves, you know, and we democratise things, then we're actually in the game. We've got a chance. If we leave it in the hands of those who want and live in venality, then we're fucked.
Yeah, basically what we've got back to is what James K. Baxter talked about in his in a recreant house not far from Arrow Street. 4 men sat with a bottle of wine at their feet and the rain was falling. And the 4th man said, "The government's not my mother. I've worked on the ships for 20 years. All I've got for bad weather and dreadful skippers is the price of 5 beers." Yeah. And then they saw on the, what was it, on the bones of Lenin, on the horns of the morning or something like that, I don't know. The bones of Lenin shining. We don't want Lenin, but we actually
certainly don't.
We do want democracy and around here, and it doesn't look like it's going to be here anytime soon either, the way we're all going.
Yeah, and just anyone who out there thinks that we're probably a pair of crazy lefties,
no.
I think you might want to consider that I run companies,
and
Brian here works on the council, and we love business, we love communities, we like all sorts of things. We don't care if you're left or right. The message is the same. We need democracy.
Yeah, that's right. Basically, we just want, you know, justice, fairness. Let justice flow down to the sea. Okay, we'll leave it there, eh?
Catch you guys.